Alright, hello everybody. I'm Clockwork Chaos from the Clockwork Chaos Media. I'm going to be going over today on the stream some feedback for the devs on the dojo, also touching on the clans. There's lots of stuff that I really want to talk to them about, but primarily I'm just going to be talking about dojos with a little bit of clan stuff tossed in. And so let's get right into it. I want to start off by saying thanks for being here. Thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. Um, and just to talk a little bit about why I feel like I have something to talk about here. Uh, I've worked with Hands of the Void. This is our clan dojo main hall spawn area. I've been the architect and the decorator for this dojo and funded almost all of it myself. I want to say probably about 80%. Um, that said, I've put in hundreds of hours with the decoration system that they have within the dojos. I've put a lot into building this clan up in a pretty short amount of time. And I feel like with those hundreds of hours that I've put into it, that I probably have a little bit of knowledge to hand back to the devs. So I'm hoping that they get this message and I'm hoping that they hear me out. And I will say that any criticisms that I have are coming from a place of love for the game and appreciation for what they do, and I just want it to be better. So please take anything that you see here with a grain of salt. Don't think that I'm hating on anybody or trying to make anything hard. One of the other reasons I wanted to mention why I'm putting this in a video instead of just putting it in text format is because there's so much information I want to cover, and some of it's just easier to show, and instead of have 1,000 different screenshots and a giant wall of text that nobody's going to read. So that's why we're doing this in video format. But with that, let's get right into it. Talk about some of the improvements that I think are really just necessary um, to make this game a lot better. Um, that said, let's start with just the basic uh, dojo stuff for decorations, the very basics, and we're going to go into what is it? Decorations, decorate mode. Now, if we look in here, if I just select any object, let's take this one here, we can see already that everything over on the right hand side on the lower right there, it's got that grid marker. And I can of course change that grid, but you can see that as I move this, and I'll change the grid so it's a little more drastic here, we can see that I am moving this along a grid. I can move it up, down, left, and right. And with that, we can tell that there is already a grid that is invisible in here. Now, speaking as a decorator, you know it would be really nice sometimes, especially when you're lining up stuff on opposite sides of the room and doing different things like that, like say this guy here and then this guy over here, is to just be able to see that grid. If I can just have a hotkey that will allow me to see that grid in a transparent overlay, that would be really nice. And then I could just switch it between, say, vertical, horizontal. That would be really handy. Instead, what I have to do is use like placement markers. Like if you look here, I lined this up with this, which isn't necessarily optimal because maybe I wanted it here, you know? And now I have to kind of like look for like, all right, well, then I need to make it sure it's right in the center here. If I just had a grid, that would make all of that much easier. Moving on to the next thing. If we go up here, one of my pet peeves that I like a lot of symmetry in my design. As you can see, I got this statue over here. I got this statue over here. And they are perfectly symmetrical, and that took a long time to do, but it would have been a lot easier, with that grid. But one of the things that doesn't help with symmetry, if you notice, we have this dragon statue, and he has his left paw out, and he also has his left paw out, which is also, of course, on our right side because he's facing us. Wouldn't it be nice if I could just press a hotkey and mirror this object so that this way it would flip the directional alignment of the object just like we can in pretty much any graphical rendering software? Just a hotkey to flip the image and the collision. That would be really handy, especially for any, I want to say, objects that are not symmetrical. So like this guy, the lion statues, um, you know, the trees, anything that's going to be like non-symmetrical and more organic looking, that would be really nice. Now another thing that we have here is toggle camera collision and toggle object collision. Now with camera collision, we have a situation like this, okay, where I can't go through this. You can when it's not built, which is, super annoying. So I know that the functionality is there, but having a hotkey to turn off collision would be really great. And we can do certain tricks to be able to do that. For example, if I take my guy here, and this is just one way you can kind of break the system. So if we get up here right next to the ceiling, and then we go into our decorator mode, you'll see that we are already clipped through the ceiling. You can do this in any room as long as you get near the ceiling, because your camera's going to go just above your character. And as you can see from here, I can do stuff like place different objects just slightly through the roof and things like that. You can do it through the walls, as you can see here. You can also do this from the other side, but it just gives you a little bit more functionality to be able to get through and adjust things the way that you might like. Because one of the things that we have also is object collision. So let's talk about that now too. So being able to just turn off the collision for the camera would be super handy. Now, when we're talking about object placement collision, we have this weird node that is arbitrarily placed within every object that allows it to. You can't push that particular piece of collision through the wall for some reason. I don't know why they did that. I kind of understand why, because they don't want you to accidentally lose objects and bury them in the wall and then fill up your capacity and not know why. But that's a thing. But let's talk about this real quick. So let's just grab a random object that's kind of easy for me to replace. Let's go back with this guy here. So you can see where the node is for being able to turn this object, and that object that's going to allow us to do this. Now I can't push that particular piece through the wall, but let's say this was a less symmetrical object. I get stuck doing this, and I can't push him through the wall if I want this other side out. And let's see, maybe this is a better object to do it with because this is less symmetrical. So if I take this, I can see where the node is. I can go all the way to the node, but maybe I wanted to do it like this, right? And now, look, I can't go through this wall. How annoying is that? That's super annoying. So if I wanted to just be able to toggle object collision and camera collision at will, I really feel like I should be able to, especially since I can break the game and get through there with various different broken mechanics. The functionality is there. They've just made it so that you can't do that. I know there's a million other games where you can just toggle collision on and off. There's no real good reason why we shouldn't be able to just toggle both camera and object collision on it. That would be really, really nice and really, really handy for us decorators. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about another thing over here that we saw just a second ago, which is red space, right? So if I get close to this thing here, I can't place this object because it's too close to this room interactable. And I get why that is, right? We have to be able to do that. But what about over here? Why can't I put it here? I mean, I know why. It's because that door is there and they want me to be able to interact with the door. But let's take a look at this real quick and just see how far away we can get before we can't interact with this anymore. So there's my activate. Oh, look, I can only get this far away, which means that if I'm standing right here and I go here, oh, look, I should be able to build right up to this point for that because that's as far away as I can interact with it. If I can't build all the way over here, you're just basically taking my real estate. You're saying, no, you can't build here because we don't want that. And that's really annoying. And honestly, you don't need to be further further away for interactables because that's annoying. You don't want to trigger your interactable from over here, right? But lowering red space would be really handy. Another option, talking about here, okay, this is where the door triggers. That means that from here, to here, That should be all the red space there is for that. It shouldn't be walking all the way out to here. That's a full meter of real estate that you just stole from me. Lower your red space, please. It's unnecessary. It's not needed. Can people block off doors? Yes, but they can already do that now. I'll give you a quick example on where I did this. All right, so we have our 4-section hallway, and look, I put a wall right here. You can't access that doorway. You know why? Because it goes nowhere. If you look at our map real quick here, that doorway goes nowhere. It literally, like, if we could go through there, it would sort of get us near another hallway. So I blocked it off. So you can block stuff off. You're just making it really annoying for us to be able to build. So there's no reason why we shouldn't reduce our red space. All right, that's all you're doing is making the decorator job more difficult than it needs to be and really limiting our options as decorators. So let's talk about bugs and fixes for stuff. And let's talk about shadows real quick and why I am annoyed at shadows. Can you already see why I don't like shadows in this game? All right, look at this. I have shadows from object that are shining through this platform, all right, that are above the platform. Why does this not block light? I can see why this shadow for this particular Orican tree sculpture should be here, but why should it be down here? Why is that? And I got this bug over here. This one drives me insane. Okay, we got a flickering object, and now it's not flickering. Flickering, not flickering. Flickering, not flickering. So to be fair, this is me glitching a particular object through the wall. So there is a little bit of, I did this to myself on purpose by breaking the game. But it would be really nice if this was just consistent. Like either show me or don't show me. Figure it out. Now let's talk about inconsistent shadows, right? For the most part, shadows are really good and consistent. Like we got this shadow right here and right here. But let's jump on over to our spaceport real quick, because this is like the most exaggerated example of this, and it's because the lighting is kind of far away based on the skybox. Special spaceports. We're down in Syndicate. Special spaceport. So we have a lighting source way out there. All right, but let's take a look at this. Let's look at this gun on this mech real quick, right? This is actually 2 pieces, but it looks like one solid piece. Why is it then that the shadow is cast and the shadow is not continuous? Instead, the shadow is broken. This is because the lighting is bad. Bad lighting. For some reason, this is casting a shadow on objects that don't have any visible collision. And that's kind of problematic. It looks ugly. Why is that shadow 3 different pieces that are all different consistencies that don't line up when everything lines up in the 3-dimensional object? Super annoying and ugly. Super annoying and ugly. That's what that is. So that's shadows, and I get that lighting is a very difficult thing. It's not easy, but these are like glaringly bad things. Again, right over here too. Why is that skiff shooting through the bottom of this collidable structure? I'll show you the skiff. The shadow for this skiff is shooting through the bottom of the collidable structure. Why is that? It shouldn't be. If a 3-dimensional object has collision, shadow should not go through it. That would just kind of fix that. I don't know what kind of fix that entails. It's probably a lot of work that involves going through the dojo objects and allowing light to reflect off of them in certain fashions based upon whether or not there's collision, and that's a thing. So that would be a job, but that's a job that I would think would take somebody no more than a week to get through every object. probably a couple of days, because honestly, we don't have that many different kinds of decorative objects. Um, Now, let's see. So, speaking of collision, let's move on to our Temple of Honor, right? And so you'll notice over here, we're talking about collision, right? Let's just go in here. Hey, look, it's a statue. Oh, I can stand on that statue. Oh, I can't go through it. That's good. That's how it's supposed to be. But when we talk about Plague Star, right? When we talk about that, let's just talk about this for a minute, guys. Can we talk about this? Yeah, why am I able to stand in the middle of the statue? Why does it not have collision? Even if you just put a generic box around it so I can only like sort of like press up against it, that's fair. But this is an unfinished product. You know? It's ugly. It's bad user experience. Alright, so talking about some more fixes. Okay, so one of my favorite things that I really hate, both the tea set and the Donda, uh, Rails Donda specifically, and the tea set we get from the sacrifice. We can donate the sacrifice tea set. We cannot donate Rails Donda. I do not know why that is. It should be donatable. It's an object. And speaking of other objects that we can't donate, how about many of the Noggles? I don't know how recently those were touched, but I know that the new Ember one from the most recent Relay rebuild, and I recently checked the Acolytes Noggles. None of those can be donated, so I want to create, maybe not in this room, but in another room, if I want to put together a nice, like say Noggle museum, with a bunch of shelves and all the different Noggles in the game on it, and have everybody donate their Noggles. We can't do that. We can't make a little Noggle museum. And wouldn't that be nice? If we could. But getting back to the tea set and the Donda. So the tea set we can donate, right? And obviously people are hesitant to want to donate them because you only get one. So how about this? How about you make that and Rails Donda also available for Plat? Wouldn't that be great? You get more money, I get more objects, because right now I have a situation where I would like to be able to put more tea sets in here, but instead I've only got 3. And with that, I can only put in 3 of them because and that's out of 200 members, I had 3 people that were willing to donate them total. And that's with me offering Plat for them to donate. So there's that. Moving on to some more stuff here. One of my favorite things that I absolutely hate, when I go to play Frame Fighter, and let's jump over to our Dark Sector Cantina where we have our Ludoplex. And I'm just going to go play Frame Fighter real quick here. And with that, I am, first of all, taking forever to load. Let's go. Oh, it's not going to let me load it. All right, how about Wormius? Because that's a solo thing. Yeah. Okay, so at least with Wormius, right, this is better. Okay, because I'm actually able to see Wormius here and, on the screen, for that loading screen. I'm just going to cancel this real quick. Apparently I can't cancel the game. That's really annoying. So yeah, I should be able to cancel Wormius. That would be really nice to be able to press escape and quit. Even if you don't want to like pause the screen to give players an unfair advantage, just allow them to be able to have a black screen and then have the option to quit or continue. That would be really handy instead of forcing me to play the game because I might want to just like say go do something, and I don't want sound effects going off. But yeah, basic pause feature, that's kind of a thing in most games. Now, I want to note that I was in the uh, uh, the Dark Sector Cantina, and now I'm in my engineering room. Why? Why does that make sense? This is not my default spawn room. This is not the room I left from. This is not even remotely close to the room that I left from. I'm all the way across the map here. This makes no sense. And one of the other things that's really nice is that sometimes you'll spawn inside of an object. And that's really annoying. So I could like be half inside of this and see just a red outline of it while I'm inside of it. That's super bad. Like, spawn me in, and this happens both with the Ludoplex, it happens with coming back from navigation from a mission, it happens with the obstacle course. It's all just really, really bad user experience. It breaks immersion. It's ugly. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. People wonder why they spawn into a different room that isn't the spawn room. All right, this is how far away I am from the spawn room, by the way. I'm like a hallway and 3 grand halls away from my spawn room. Does that make sense? This is the dedicated spawn room, by the way, so we have that set, right? You know, you're supposed to spawn right here, and instead I've spawned down in engineering. And it's not just engineering, it'll just put you in a random room anywhere in the dojo. Could be at the complete opposite end on a different floor. So fixing that would be really, really nice. Okay, next one is lighting and fog transitions between rooms. This is a bad, bad thing. I know you guys have to know about this, right? Let's go into a room that's a little bit more drastic. So in here we have like kind of a purple lighting theme, and then in here we have a brown lighting theme. Now if I just look out there, why is that brownish red all the way out there? And then I come out here, oh, and it disappears. And then if I look in here, there's a purplish in there, and then it turns red when I get in. This is bad. It looks ugly. There's another one. Okay, and oh, and there we go. See, very bad transition. I don't know what you got to do to be able to make that dissipate, but please fix it. It's super ugly. Okay, catwalks. We're going to have a talk about catwalks real quick. All right, and to do that, I'm just going to grab any particular item. Let's say this guy right here, right? Now look at this. I can rescale this, and this has a lot of textures to it. All right, I can totally rescale this. All right, now let's talk about catwalks. And let's go to our catwalk. And oh, look at that. Can't rescale it. This could be a small shelf. This could be, flipped up and turned into a big like wall panel. It could be a lot of different things. But it can't be because I can't rescale it. This could be like turned into like, a table, Well, actually, I did use these as tables in one spot, but I had to use multiple pieces in order to do it, and it's not exactly what I would have liked. Why are catwalks, none of the catwalks, rescalable? Please fix that. I don't know why you think catwalks shouldn't be rescalable. It's not like they, is it I don't know if it's for pathing purposes or what, but yeah, it's bad. Okay, let's go talk about our next thing on the bugs and fixes section. And I know this is another situation here that should be fixed, but isn't. Let's just go over to Maru's Bazaar, and see how that works out for us. Oh, Can't do it. I guess if I want to turn in my Iatan sculptures, I have to leave, go to my orbiter, go through all those loading screens, then go to Maru's Bazaar and go through 2 more loading screens. No, thank you. How about let's go to Samaras real quick. Oh wait, can we actually go to Samaras now? Huh, that's new. All right, well, we weren't able to do that recently, but now we can go to Samaras from here. But we can't go to Maru's. Either way, let's have that fixed. Okay, let's be able to go to Maru's Bazaar and get her on a separate section and get that fixed up. Okay, next we're going to talk about, and I don't mean to harp on the lighting again too much, but here's the thing, right? I have put a lot of time into making some very beautiful Arcanite type, sculptures, and I want you to notice how that volumetric lighting blows, and it ruins everything about this. Now we're just going to back up a bit. You see that pinwheel star that I made on that wall there? See how that's nice and pretty? And I even have on the other wall, there's one over there that goes in the opposite direction, kind of like Tool Laterellus inspired type thing. Now what happens when I get close to it to get a better look? Oh look, I can't see it. It's impossible to see. How about we have a volumetric lighting slider that just reduces the volume down from what it currently is at? That would be really nice. Even if it's just like, 3 settings, like high, mid, low, and off, like 4 settings, I guess. That would be like an amazing improvement. Moving on. Okay, let's go to the next bit here. So let's talk about this real fast. Clan level and armistice. These objects cannot be researched. Right? That means that it's limiting the capacity for me to be able to level up the clan at an appropriate rate. And should the armistice ever be lifted, what that means is that I will then be at a massive disadvantage, and so will every member in my clan versus all of the clans that had those things researched before. And I'll get into this later about why the armistice should be lifted and how it should be fixed, but that should be something that happens. We should be able to research these things even if we do not use these things. All right, the MR should be available. It's the same thing when people complain about an item not being available. I get it for the founders packs and stuff, but outside of that, when we're talking about, say, like the Super Vandal and how that was just wall gated for the longest time, and it drove people insane that they couldn't trade for it because if they didn't get it, they just couldn't ever maximize their character. Period. End of story. That sucks as a user. It means no matter how much you play the game, no matter how hard you play, no matter how much money you dump into it, no matter what you do, you will never, ever have it. And, I'm all for exclusivity for a period of time. You get your clan statue that gives you a little XP, and you get that to have that for like a year exclusive. But this has been over years for this stuff. Give people their exclusivity, but release it later. That's the way to do it. This way they can have it, they can feel special for a time, but eventually that wears off, that exclusivity hype. Nobody cares about it after a certain point. Ask any founder, do they think it's cool that they have Xcal Prime? They don't care. And most of them feel like it should be open to everybody anyway, at least in my experience. And after having talked to hundreds of founders, they don't care. They've had the exclusivity long enough. It's worn off. The charm has left. Not that Xcal should be released. I know you guys have a contract deal for all that. Whatever. But when we're talking about clan statues, that's not in your clan in your contract with anybody. They've been there for a while. Same thing with the Ignis Wraith blueprint. It's been probably a year now, I think, maybe more. Let people have a chance at getting that again. Don't keep it exclusive forever, because the hype wears off for the people that have it, and then everybody else is stuck not having it. Not that I need the Ignis Wraith. I've got 1,000 copies of it just sitting in my inventory. I don't, that I just give out to people, but I don't need. But it's the hype isn't there. It's not cool to have all of those Ignis Wraiths and nobody else can have them. I know a good chunk of people that just give them to people in trade chat just to give them out so that they can have it, because it's stupid that it should be gated forever. So yeah, gating content, like maximum 1 year, man. Please fix that. And that includes the armistice stuff because it is worth MR for the clan. So please have that happen. Okay, this is another one that's super annoying. Transporter rename. Let me rename my transporter. Please. Rebuilding an entirely new transporter every time I want to rename it is stupid. It's a waste of time. It's a bad user experience. It doesn't make anything feel cool. I understand having to build different ones in different rooms if you want them, instead of just being able to carry them between rooms. I get that because you have to have boundaries for each room when you build them. But when we're talking about creating a file and then renaming that file, that's something I should be able to do. It shouldn't be hard. Now let's move on to. Are we done with bugs? Okay. So yeah, there's another thing. Your parent room system, right? Uh, People hate it. They hate the parent room system, parent-child association. It means that I can't ever move anything around. Now, ideally, all of these rooms should be on a grid and interlock where they are set to interlock. But that's a whole huge revamp of the dojo system that you guys are probably too busy to do. But here's the thing you can do is copy and paste a batch file. All right. So if I were to want to say move this room, I should then be able to go over to my little terminal over here, dash copy room, you know, and then go put it somewhere else, and then have that room there. And then, while it would be annoying because it takes 2 hours to destroy a room in order to get everything sorted, I can then bash copy it. It's not an active room, it's just sitting there. But now I have a copy of that room, and then I can bash copy that room again and put it back somewhere else after putting it there. And then I will then have, and then, a template that I can then use. And then when this is destroyed, it refunds all of those resources. So then I can have those resources. And then when I bash copy and then I activate that room, it then funds that room with those same resources and it becomes active somewhere else. There's really no reason that batch copying for files should not be there. It really should be. That would allow you to keep your current system without having to revamp the entire clan structuring and dojo structuring. You'd have to lock it so this way once a room's batch copied and copied somewhere else that it's not activated, then that room gets destroyed, then that room, the batch copy room, has that possibility to be activated or copied again and pasted somewhere else. Or maybe you paste it several times and then you just pay for it out of your vault. That's fine too. All right, so let's now talk about Orakin rooms. They were cool. Bring them back, please. A lot of people want them back. Just having more options instead of less is good. I know you might have to recolor them or something like that, so this way they work with the new dojo color system. But how hard can that be? The artwork is already there. And speaking of artwork that is already there, let's start talking about objects that are already in the game that should be in the decorations because they're cool. All right, so let's just go over here and let's pop in some stuff. All right, so let's load this up, and you'll notice here we have this particular Grenier style energy thing. It's from somewhere on Earth, I think. Being able to put that in my engineering room, pretty cool. Probably take up some capacity because of the animation, but that's fine. These animated rings here that spin around, let's do that, right? These planters and these trees, all right? Let's do that. 2 separate objects, please. the energy base here for the corpus. Also, go put that in engineering. Looks pretty cool. These pillars right here and this base, put those in the game. These things already have collision. They already have skins. They're already done artwork that's completed. All you got to do is assign a value for how many resources you want them to cost, and then let us build them. These energy pillars here, this energy pillar here, and then we're going to talk about this texture here. That texture should also be something that I can build. This animated object right here, yeah, I want it. Put it in there, please. It's really cool. We could do all kinds of cool stuff with those. So now I'm going to talk about something else too, shapes, right? So this is a ball of light, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more, but just remember that for later. This object from the solar rail room, I would definitely like to be able to use that to decorate in areas, especially if it moves in circles, but even if it doesn't, and it just sits there, that's also, or maybe pulses with light or whatever you want to make it do, this object should be in the game. Again, Rels Donda, make it donatable. Don't need that. The moon, right? Let's make some moon. Make it so that we can rescale it to very small to maybe say actual size in the game. For not the actual moon, but just in the Oracle halls that they have these in. These would be really cool to have in there, especially if we would say like line a hallway with them. That would be fun. This infested stringy stuff, and just say infested bulbous lumps in general, But yeah, especially these infested stringy effects, that would be really cool. This particular, we're going to follow this curve here. This Oracle filigree number, whatever. Give me that filigree. And then also too, this doorway here or gate that you guys sometimes have that are transparent. Sure would like to have those too. This animation, all right. Let's just jump back to the game real quick. So I want to show you what I and many other people have done with your game. We have built void portals. Where are we here? Build a void portal. Now I am in the process of upgrading this particular void torsion beam device, so please excuse that. But you see this here, like we've used those little Oracle signs to kind of make something that looks pseudo like backlit and portal-y, and that's kind of cool. But notice how like it's got these giant, golden things in the middle of it that make it obviously not a portal. And that's pretty much what everybody's been doing. And, if we could just go back to this here and have this animation, just a full circle of it, not only could we make portals with it, but we could make some super cool stuff with it too. I know it's going to take some capacity, but make it happen. Let it be a thing. These are also some different kinds of animated rings, different from the ones I had before. They're just basically on a different path. And then, of course, the shapes thing again. We want to talk about that a little bit later. This table, don't know why we don't have it. Pretty cool. Be nice to have. What are we looking at here? Balls of light energy again for shapes. Get into that again. Okay, Comey. This should be A, an object, and B, it should be interactable, so this way we can have two players of Warframe be able to play Comey. I don't know why they can't. You already have the code in the game for this game to exist and the rules for it to exist. So let us have a little interactable object so that I can go and drop one on that banquet hall where I have those tea sets, over here. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to just jump over to our banquet hall here and then, have your channel take a seat on either side, and then have a little Comey game in there that we can interact with and play some Comey with a friend, That, unlike other stuff I'll recommend later, a lot of the other stuff should be in, like, say, the Ludoplex. But yeah, being able to play Comey should kind of be, it's a board game. Let's actually have a board game decoration that isn't a digital video game, you know? Although you could make a digital video game version of it and throw the Ludoplex also, but you know, because you already have that code there with Ballast, maybe just put a little Cephalon picture there instead so you can play against a Cephalon. Um, Getting back to, so we did our Comey. Now let's talk about those shapes real quick, right? So one of the things you guys have seen is people take stuff and they turn it into stuff. Well, if we had certain things like, say, a box that was rectangle and square shaped, and you know, a cube, and then we had, say, circles, and not just flat circles, but we also had, you know, whatchamacallit, spheres, and you know, pyramids, and you know, different kinds and stuff like that. We could then build some really cool looking robots, especially if you add this functionality, which is going to go and talk about some of the effects stuff I want to do next. But let's just jump over to decorations, polychrome room. All right, let's drop our polychrome down. Wait, where'd you go? There you are. Okay, so let's go and look at our room colors. You notice how primary, secondary, tertiary, secondary lights, right? Now do underneath that object 1, object 2, object 3, object 4. And the reason for that is because then let's remove polychrome. Let's go into, and this would be for shapes and for effects. Let's go to decorations, decorate. So let's switch over to place decoration, and let's add a tab up here for effects, right? And so move the 10.0 effects over there, the ones that are already here, your fire, your smoke, etc. You know, make a little effects tab next to the natural, and then put shapes in there also. So effects and shapes, and give everybody the base one, the fire, the smoke, the etc. But how cool would it be if we could actually make fog that was in any color that we unlocked? So we'd have fog 1, 2, 3, 4, and then for each room we can then assign through the polychrome any color that we've unlocked, and then it shows up as that color. Super handy. You've already got the stuff there, you know. Would be nice to see it. So we talked about the effects. Now let's talk about some stuff that kind of probably should be there. Hemocyte cystoliths. Let me donate those to the clan vault. Can't donate them. I can only put them in a into a statue, and that's super annoying. Bring back all the other event statues eventually, please, especially with events. That's an opportunity for you to recycle content and fight that content drought. I know they would need to be updated and reworked slightly, but it shouldn't be, like, that's something that you can put somebody on a project for a couple of days, and then we'd have something to do. You did it with the tactical alerts. That was fun, you know, but then you stopped. And I know you guys have a lot of work to do, but just put one guy on, like, recycling content, you know? Okay, next up, Soma Chord. You know, give it a radius of, you know, a mallet, and then allow it to be placed, and make it an effect, and then maybe make it an actual object that looks like a Soma Chord. So you have a Soma Chord decoration that is just a decoration, and then make the Soma Chord effect. And the Soma Chord effect is then you can then, you know, scan those and you know, get them up to, you know, do that for your clan. You know, maybe like, say, get 100 scans for a particular Soma Chord, and then you can unlock it for your clan or something like that after you already have it. So every scan you do of a Soma Chord after that just counts towards the clan. And then you can unlock that song and make it an effect. And then you could not only put it on the Soma Chord decoration itself, but you could then also say, like, take that effect and put it, let's go over to, where are we going here? Woodfire Club. So let's go ahead and go over to our nightclub and notice how we have like, you know, some speakers over here. We could like put one on the speakers and then music would be coming out of there, you know. Add some other speakers up here, here, you know. That way we can then, you know, just assign a different song thing, and then make it so that each of those effects is set to the player's specifications for PvE songs for mallets. So that this way, if they want to mute everything, they can for their own personal setup. But, you know, that way your decorators can then go around and decorate and put music in there and do different stuff, you know. Okay, effect. This is another effect. Okay, so we have these terminals, right? And they have a little message on them that we can put in there. It's something like 250 characters, and that sucks because like you can never actually put much in there, and they're all locked to that one position. So let's just jump over to here real quick. Now, how nice would it be if I have these other terminals over here? I could just place one on a terminal, or literally anything. Like say if I wanted to make a gold plaque underneath a statue, and then I had, say, 5,000 characters, right? To be able to say, like, maybe write the clan rules, or write about, you know, what kind of stuff we have for donations right now, or whatever. Because that message of the day, that's nice, but it doesn't tell you really anything. Like, there's just not enough characters there. I could write like a whole full lore underneath a statue and say like this is a memorial shrine to so-and-so that was in our clan that passed away. You know, it doesn't really matter what people would use it for, but it would give us more capacity. I would say don't allow hyperlinks in it, but do allow that people can copy and paste whatever is said there. To have it like actually like come up as a screen so people can actually like copy and paste that. In case we want to put like say a Discord link in there or whatever, you know. Objects again that should be in the game, weapons and warframes. I want to donate them, you know. And again, 4 colors on that polychrome added, 4 colors for a warframe. Map each one of them to that, and I can actually go and like say have, you know, a Nidus statue and just like, you know, be like, hey, this is my Nidus statue, you know, and put the plaque underneath him and be like, this is to commemorate the blah blah blah. Or I could just make a bunch of rhino statues down this hallway, like each standing, you know, so it's like that, you know, and all the way down, you know, if I wanted a bunch of rhino statues or whatever, you know. But then we can color them and put them different places, and, you know. I know you can't have articulate right now, but you could just put them in a solid state pose. Same thing for weapons. If I want to make like an arsenal style room where I got a bunch of guns all over the walls and stuff, you know, why can't I donate my Volkov? You know, why can't I donate, for that matter, why can't, if I can have a pet in my orbiter, you know, I know it would take some capacity, but why can't I just drop in a Darza Kavat as a decoration, donate it through the vault? And now I have that at Darza Kavat as a decoration. You know, I want to put a dog in, if I want to put a sentinel in, if I want to have sentinels guarding my barracks area, you know, why can't we do that? People usually just sell them for credits for nothing, you know, like what is 30,000 credits to a player that's MR25? It doesn't even register, you know, like that's not even a soda's worth of money to an MR25. You know, but to a dojo, having a little sentinel that's just, you know, maybe a little death cube chilling up above, just looking at these, you know, standing on each side here, watching over the doorway, guarding it, you know, be pretty cool. You know, we could do all kinds of cool stuff. We could have a little, you know, Christmas shade just like chilling over in the corner watching everything, you know. So yeah, pets, warframes, weapons. Why aren't they donatable? The textures are there, the animations are there, the collision is there, everything's there. You know, I can see with the pets, maybe it would be kind of hard for, say, the cats and the dogs because they might, have some trouble with pathing. I don't know because like I know you guys don't actually have any pets allowed in here normally, but there's no reason they couldn't be. You know, as a decoration, it would just take a certain amount of capacity. And then we could do stuff like build a zoo or build a play area for our pets or whatever, you know. Uh, okay, so this is another one that people have been screaming for forever. And, this is not news, but yes, people still want it. Yes, everyone still wants it. A dojo like this, a lot of people really just don't want to chill in their orbiter. They don't like it. They don't want it. They're over it. They would rather hang out here and be with their clan and do stuff like that. And that should be the goal because this is a community-driven game. So we should have a space for community and not encourage people to isolate themselves. Having your own orbiter is nice if you want to go there and decorate it and do whatever you want, but I'll get into that later about what I'd like to do for that. But at the same time, people like it here. They don't want to have to go back to their orbiter to be able to make a relic upgraded. They don't want to have to go and claim their weapons from Ordis. Now, I understand maybe like creating an armory right here and just having it there, so this way it's near the arsenal and everything else. Having it show what every individual player is doing, that might be a little intensive. But you could just make it a terminal, so this way it pops up that screen, and then you're sending an email to Ordis, and he makes it on the ship for you, and then when you claim it from there, it then shows up in your arsenal over here. How hard would that be? It can't be that hard because you already have the technology there. So with that, the armory, the relics upgrading, each of those should have their own interactable. And I would recommend making these effects driven, so this way it's just an effects that has this little activate that pops up when you go near it. So this way we can put it on these terminals, if we want Oricon theme or if we want Corpus theme or if we want Grenier theme or whatever, we can put it in any room. We can actually make these chairs do something, we could make it so that this interactable here, this becomes interactable now because we've assigned a particular function to it. That you want this to be your thing that you send your email to Ordis on, great. But if you don't, if you want this to be it, then you use that. You just plop it inside there, So yeah, and then also to being able to change your focus school, as an interactable there, also super handy. Because for whatever reason you guys still don't have focus schools as part of the arsenal to be able to bind them to a loadout. I don't know why. Everyone hates that. We want to be able to change and bind our focus schools to our loadouts. Nobody likes that we can't. Please fix that too. Okay, this one you probably aren't going to like, but I know everybody that plays the game will. Simulacrum access. Put it in the Ludoplex. Charge 125,000 standing for it. Got to have maximum Samara's rep and drop a whole lot of standing on it. But then put it in the Ludoplex, and then people can access it from their ship. They can access it from the dojo because you're creating a new instance just like you would with the Ludoplex already. The technology is already there. Let us have that, please. We shouldn't have to fly all the way out to see Samaras, And speaking on those things here, another copy-paste item, how about that terminal from Samaras? So this way I can go over here to my server room, got my tennis server room over here, and I can then just go and, plop down a little terminal, maybe like right over here or something, and then we can go up here trade in our Samaras rep, get a new target, and do that. Why can't we make these things into full-on relays? Are we not cool enough? I thought we were space gods. Like, we should be able to do that. All you have to do is copy and paste that terminal that's already in Samaras's, and then just add the option to email Samaras and have him, Hunter, do you want a new topic thing to go scan? I'll be like, all right, yeah, cool. Give it to me. I know you want to force us to go and see Samaras to look at your, really dated set pieces that haven't been updated in years, but we're kind of over it. Like, let us just chill, Then faction banners, I have a whole section in here just for factions. This is my whole syndicate ward, and no, that's the 1v1. I mean, it's conclave themed, but let's go to an actual faction, right? Let's jump over here to the Arbiters of Hexus, right? And I've got these red flags, but they don't have, I would just like to be able to build Arbiters of Hexus flags. I don't need to change these so they say Arbiters of Hexus on it, but that would be cool. And maybe we could make them cost Syndicate Standing or something to unlock. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, how about having some Syndicate flags? Because I have one for each of these. We got our new logo over here. All earthy and stuff. And but yeah, I got one for each one of these. There's no reason not to have them. How about we have a Sepsuda flag in here, and then maybe, and this is where things get crazy, copy and paste that NPC as a decoration, the one that just stands there that you trade your standing in. Make it cost a little bit of capacity and some resources, but then I can come into my syndicate room, I can have my dude over here, standing here, and I can come talk to him, and I can trade in my medallions. Wouldn't that be great? That would be super great. Everyone would want that. Moving on. So we talked about wanting some infested stuff, but yeah, also maybe some Kuga Fortress style stuff would be really cool. Again, you already have this stuff in the game. What else do we got here? Statue bases. So remember that thing where I was talking about maybe being able to donate a Warframe, and also how you don't have collision on your Hemocyte statue. So imagine if we had this pedestal, also scalable in size, that just didn't have this statue on top, and then I could just park a Warframe on it and have a statue, and then I could fill up my Temple of Honor with other stuff like that, and put in some stuff like that to make it pretty cool. Just blank pedestal. Let us put our own, or maybe I want to put an abstract art piece on it with all those shapes, But getting back to the shapes, there's a couple different things I think that matter here. You'd want a matte version of them. You would want a sheer version, which is going to be kind of slightly reflective, say this floor piece right here. You would want for a texture, you would want a metallic one and probably a light energy effect one, right? And those would probably take a little more capacity. So something like this would be a circle. Oh, that's really granular. So yeah, those shapes, definitely different textures on those, so this way we can build different kinds of stuff with shapes. And please make those cost nanospores and Oricon cells for the light ones, so that we have a place to dump those things that we never use. I have literally billions of nanospores. I'm sorry, not billions, millions of nanospores just sitting in the vault that we will never use. And I know that between the players we have probably another 100 million nanospores that we will never, ever, ever use. Please let us use those for shapes. See what else we got here. Oh, rooms, right? So yeah, how about blank rooms? I hate that, first of all, can't build over the top of this, right? So I've kind of worked around this in some ways, in that, let's go and take a look at the void portal, right? So, special void portal. So this is one of your rooms, right? And it's got these little wispy things in it, but I don't always want wisp effects in here running around. Now, like, it kind of makes thematic sense here and in the club, because then, obviously it's distorting space-time with the void portal, and over at the club it's like, oh, well, maybe it's a cool DJ lighting effect, That's fine. But not every room should have them. How about just a blank room with a floor, just like the grand halls, and we got one that's got like a dead end, like say like the 1v1 rooms, and then we have one that's a like this. So it's got 4 doors, one that's got 2 doors on it, and then lastly a skybox. And you already have 2 skyboxes in here. You have one for the one for the observatory, and you have a skybox for the what's the other one? Solar rail, right? So you could make 2 different skyboxes, and basically it would just be, your room is this door, and then from here, after this spot right here, it's just a skybox. And then we can just build whatever we want. If we want to build all the way to the edge of the skybox and block off the skybox, that's allowed. If we want to put, windows in so we can see out into space, that's allowed. Just let us build our own stuff. Put skyboxes in so we can just build things. Make our own kinds of rooms, put hallways in, different multi-level stuff, and like allow us to like maybe say pay plat for more capacity up to. Oh, actually, I probably can't do that because you have to meet system requirements and such. But yeah, so different room types. I'm actually going to leave off the more ambitious stuff for today and maybe do another video on that later, because this has already gone pretty long. But I will close just by saying, I know you have Railjack coming. I know you have Kingpin on the, on the back burner in the next 3 rooms over. And we're supposedly having content come out, so this way we can actually use our clans and have community for that. But we need it. Ever since you removed raids, clans, many of them died. Most people just use them as blueprint mills and trading posts, and that's not how you build community. And this game kind of thrives on community. So, please, content for clans, have them relevant. I was going to talk about, solar rail stuff and different kinds of ways that clans could come together and do stuff with other kinds of game modes, but I will save that for maybe a part 2, because we're already really long on this, and I've got some editing to do. But yeah, that'll be all for today. I hope you guys listen. Please draw attention to the thread, because I'm sharing this with DE, so they hopefully will get the message. And if other people endorse it, maybe they'll take it a little bit more seriously. So thank you very much, and have a good night.